All right, everybody, welcome in. We are live for the Troy Hill episode 23. And I did not change the name of the episode today. So here we are, episode 23 of the Barking Brown Show. I am your host, Jacob, over at Roachism13 on Twitter. Joined as always by my co-host, Nick Carnes at Carnesy817 on Twitter. Nick, how are we doing tonight?
I'm feeling great. I've got my Szabo apparel shirt on today. I see you do as well. Feeling good. Shout out to them. I see you've got your free banner from the Browns game there. I've got my free banner. These things are sexy.
They are the 75th anniversary pennies.
I went to, as a lot of people know, we went to our first game in quite some time together with the great Andy Manchin. Shout out to him and all of his awesomeness. And we won. And it was beautiful. It was so much fun to see a game again in person. And I just think this week has been so much more fun, even though it's only Tuesday right now for me, because it's not like when the Browns were 1-1 and beat the Texans, they're like, okay, well, we all knew they were supposed to beat the Texans, and it wasn't really that impressive a performance. But even though the Bears have a terrible offensive line, and even though they were starting a rookie quarterback, it's like the Browns set records in that victory on Sunday.
Yeah.
And now you're 2-1, right? And now you're starting to build up, and you have a bunch of tests coming. And I think this is why it's so much more fun, because now you're getting on a little bit of a roll. The defense looks like a defense that can help you win games and isn't going to be a liability. And that's basically, I think, we all know the offense is going to be good, and the biggest question is the defense. And so the more we progress, I think the more exciting that all of this gets. So I'm in a great place right now.
It's definitely a lot of fun. We're live for the first time on Facebook tonight. So the brand new Barking Brown Show Facebook account. We have branched out to that as well. We are live. For those of you that may be new to the show, if you're on the Facebook, by all means, jump in the comments, ask the questions, whatever you may or may not have. Get it in there. We get to the question, get to the comments the best that we can throughout the show. We have a Q&A session, the last session of the show. We have some Twitter and Facebook questions to go over the last. But right off the top, a little bit of housekeeping. We are in our Szabo apparel again. Please, guys, if you haven't already, check out the team over at Szabo, SZABOAPPAREL. Check them out. They make gear for diehard fans by diehard fans. Marine veteran, Brian and his family, they do amazing work over there. He's awesome. He's very receptive, answers to the DMs, all those things. Everybody part of his team are great. They get that stuff out. They get that stuff out, shipped, out to everybody very quickly. Great. As you can see, I got mine. Nick's got his. We are repping the Szabo apparel again tonight. They are great. Please check them out. SZABOAPPAREL, Szabo apparel. All right, guys, we are going to launch right in. We've got a lot to talk about tonight. A Browns dominating victory. I baked in the sun, and it was worth it.
Yeah.
We watched OBJ return. Stop one of the OBJ revenge tour was a roaring success, if you ask me. We will get into that a little bit tonight. We'll get into the offense. We will get into the defense. We will get into looking forward a little bit. Of course, the preview episode of the Minnesota Vikings will come out later in this week, Thursday, for the members of the Patreon. So patreon.com/Barking Brown Show. Barking Browns. And the Patreon, you get exclusive access to early access to some of the special episodes, as well as weekly articles and newsletters and exclusive giveaways. So we have the housekeeping on Twitter. Oh yeah, and the group chat on Twitter. And so we have the housekeeping items underway. That's fine. Here we are. We moved on. So we're going to start like we did last week, and like we will do every week, with the individual grades from PFF to drive the conversation. As always, jump in the chat. Tell us what you got going on, what you guys are thinking. Right now, it seems like the chat isn't working properly right now. I'm not sure what's going on there.
We'll get there.
But, we'll see what's going on there. So we're going to jump over here into the individual grades. We're going to start with we're going to start with the offensive side of the ball. No, we'll start with the defense. We're going to start with the defensive side of the ball because we all ripped the defense for a while. I saw a lot of really nasty things about the defense on Twitter and other outlets, which is very interesting to me because we sat here and talked about giving this team the time to do, to meld together and things like that. Okay, hold on a second. I'm trying to.
I think it's just important to remember how long it took the offense to get into gear last year, and the defense has even more new starters than the offense did last year, so it's going to take time. And so this was definitely I don't care what Chicago's offensive line is like. I don't care because you still have to earn those sacks and that performance, and the Browns did, right? So regardless of how you feel about the defense or how you feel about Chicago, they went out and they took this game to them. And this was, and the final score is sexy, but the first half and largely the game as a whole was a battle. And so the defense really was the tipping point for the Browns in this game. So I think that really is telling about what this defense can be moving forward.
The thing that gets me the most about some of those things is that, it's like, oh, well, they're really, really bad. And it's like, yeah, but you still had to go out there and do it.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of my thought process when people kind of say that sort of thing. It's like, well, you still have to accomplish those things. You still have to say those things.
You got to earn victories.
You got to earn victories in the National Football League. Let's talk about the defense, okay?
Okay.
We're going to go off the top, and we're going to talk with the about the NFL's number one graded linebacker. Can we talk about the number one graded linebacker?
Oh, man.
So that's it. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. We're going to start here with his grade, and we're going to start here with him overall from the top. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah finished with a 93.9 overall grade. He played a total of 23 snaps, 23 of the 45 snaps. He had a 92.5 coverage grade, finished with 1 sack, 2 tackles. I'm trying to find it. 3 stop tackles. He only let up 1 reception for 10 yards on 3 targets. I think he had a tackle for a loss in there as well. So he finishes with a 93.9 overall grade, which is just outstanding. I mean, it's just absolutely outstanding to me. He finished out with an 83.9. I've got nothing showing up right now from the chat. So if anybody is in there, could you send a message into the chat? I want to be verified that we are working from the chat standpoint. I can see that the video's out there and it's going live and everything. I'm not sure if the chat's working properly.
It is super strange that it's not.
Nothing's popped up yet. So if anybody is in the chat, try to send a message. Let me know so I can see what happens. So I went back and I looked at this stuff from Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, and I tweeted this out on Monday, and I thought it was the most simple tweet, but everybody kind of took off and ran with it, and it was that I said, so that JOK guy, pretty good at the football, eh? And everybody's like, oh yeah, he's pretty good. I have not seen a Cleveland Browns linebacker play like that man played on Sunday, and I'm so privileged to have seen it in person, to see JOK. And as soon as you turn on the film, as soon as I went back to rewatch it, it was just JOK. It just, I know he only plays 23 snaps, but it felt like on the 23 snaps that he was out there, I felt like he was around the ball 23 times. Like, I know it probably wasn't, like that, but that dude was all over the field. It does not matter if he gets beat, which didn't really happen, but if he gets beat, whatever happens, this dude is ridiculous. He is fast. He is athletic. His IQ is off. Like his ability to read, process, and react is off the charts. Like we talked about all of this stuff about JOK before the season. They're kind of bringing him along a little bit. And then all of a sudden he gets, these, and it's only 23 snaps. Imagine when he starts getting 30 snaps and 40 snaps. There was 45 total offensive plays to generate, I think, like 67 yards of offense for the Bears, but whatever. JOK was the steal that you thought you got.
You know what? And that's the craziest part. I just want to say hello, Mike.
Your mic is over in the chat, so we know at least that chat is working.
Yeah. So we got that going for us. So hello, friend. And you know what? I've really taken with that Bane reference. I definitely I'm going to start using those quotes, Mike, and I'm going to thank you for that. But I just want to say, I remember I was in Cleveland for the draft, and when they started day 2, the whole beginning of the segment was the best players available. And JOK was at the top of all their lists, right? And they're like, JOK is one of the best players, and how did he fall out of the first round? And blah, 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 blah. And so they spend all this time talking about him, and then he still doesn't get picked for another 20. So what was he? He was picked at 55, 52. So started 32. So for another 20 picks, this guy doesn't get picked, and the Browns trade up to get him. So it's amazing to me how it was universally thought that JOK is one of the best players still available, and 20 more picks go by and nothing. Well, 19 technically. So to me, you know what? Sometimes you just got to get lucky. Maybe some teams just didn't know how they were going to use him. And it's interesting too, because I remember I was listening to all the press conferences when JOK first got here. And they were asking him, are you a safety? Are you a linebacker? What are you? How are you going to fit in this defense? Da, da, da. And he was adamant. He said, I am a linebacker, right? From the beginning. He wouldn't be anything else, wouldn't be declared anything else but a linebacker. And then that video from him at Notre Dame and how hard he hits and all this other stuff come out. And you could see it. Even though, so I think it was Pete Smith today that tweeted out that, JOK is listed at 220, but, he may not even be, right? So he's not designed to take on head-on blocks, but the speed with which he plays, I was watching, there was a bunch of clips that came out between the game yesterday and now, and just the way he changes direction, the way he sticks with guys and all of that is just not something I've ever seen the Browns have at linebacker.
Just a heads up, I have figured out what's going on with the chat. So if anybody is watching on Twitter and you had questions or you sent anything, I now have the chat up on my phone. It's not showing up on Restream because we're no longer doing Periscope. We're doing Twitter only because Periscope shut down. So if anybody is watching on Twitter and they had any comments or any questions, please resend them now, because I can see them now and I will be able to go through them, and I can't bring them on the screen.
Yeah, that was super weird. Okay.
Well, it's fine. I know now. We know what we need to do with this new thing, and I have it set up over here to the side.
I can use my phone. We can make this.
I have it on my phone, and it's set up over here with my PFF grade, so we're all good. I apologize. It's ridiculous. His ability to predict things is ridiculous, because it's not just reactionary. His football IQ, he can tell what's going. I have not seen an individual Browns defensive player play at the level that JOK played this week. It was insane, just absolutely insane. 93.9. I don't know. I haven't been a member of PFF for a super, super long time. JOK, we said he was the steal of the draft.
Yeah.
You have another game anywhere near that? You
know what? He should win Rookie of the Week for his performance. And I think I don't know. I don't want to get out of hand. Right.
John says the heart thing was what set everyone off. Thank you for whoever put that out there so that JOK could fall to the Browns at 52.
Thank you. Yeah. You know what? A friend of mine, Dill, tweeted out whoever leaked the JOK heart
Yeah,
issue.
that's okay. That's who it was. I saw that tweet and I was
dope.
like, I love that tweet. That's what I was trying to recreate. I'm glad you knew who it was.
Yeah, it was dope.
I'm really glad. Thank you. Mike says cool pennant. That was 10,000. The first 10,000 fans Saturday got one of those pennants. Nick has one. Andy has one. It will now be up in the room. Okay. Howard's got a question about the offense. Howard, we're doing the defense right now. As soon as we get to the offense, I will bring your question back up. We have EMZ. Our good friend EMZ says his read and reaction time is just amazing. Ed says the Browns had more sacks than Snoop Dogg.
I think it's important too, because I know we zeroed in on JOK.
Hey, John, I know you only could jump in and hop off real quick. Thank you.
I know we zeroed in on JOK immediately, but I think it's important to look big picture and the defense as a whole. I mean, you had 9 sacks, right?
Yeah. Let's go through the rest of the grades and we'll go to the rest of the defense. I just felt like JOK literally needed his own section.
That's fair.
10, 15 minutes just because that was how good he was. Greedy Williams came in relief of Greg Newsome, played 8 snaps, had a 90.8 overall grade and a 90.7 coverage grade. That's what you need. I mean, Greedy Williams didn't play last week. It's really nice to see Greedy. That's 8 snaps. What can you learn off 8 snaps? Well, you can learn he wasn't awful for 8 snaps.
Yeah.
Because we don't know where Greg Newsome is. We're supposed to get an update on him tomorrow.
He did tweet he's good, but for whatever that's
he tweeted he's good, but that could also mean like I'm not going on season-ending IR. Like, you know what I mean? Like I haven't heard anything. Like the OBR doesn't seem to have any inside information. They're playing this one pretty close to the vest. Myles Garrett got a 90.0. Let's take a minute to talk about Myles Garrett.
Yeah, I'm in.
What does he need to do to get 100 pass rush grade? 8 sacks? I get it because he didn't win every rep. I understand that nobody's probably ever going to get 100 pass rush grade.
Yeah.
I'm being a little bit of a turd, I guess, is what I'm doing here. But that dude, like everybody was like, he even tweeted it out. It was so like, not ominous, but he tweeted out, they say I fell off. Keep that same energy. And then what's he do? 4.5 sacks. Did you realize Myles didn't even know he set the single game team record until someone asked him about it during the press conference. They're like, hey, how do you feel about setting the record? He said, I set the record. 4.5. He could have had 6.5. There was 2 that Fields just got out of his grasp, and the one Clowney got, I can't remember who got the other one. He very, very well could have had 5.5, 6 sacks. Like I tweeted at one point, I was standing in line to get water because I was dehydrated from the muni. That's another story
That's a story.
That's a story. Maybe we'll tell that story at the end once we've done all the actual football talk. Why aren't you triple teaming this guy? And everybody's like, well, then you got to deal with everyone else. And I'm like, yeah, but at this point, he's killing you himself. And you're like, what can you say about Myles Garrett? Everybody, Myles has got to do more. Myles has paid all this money. Myles Garrett Mike says he thinks Tack got the other sack, and I think you're right. Yeah. I think you are 100% correct on that. Myles Garrett is phenomenal, and I would not trade Myles Garrett for anybody.
No, I think you know what, I tweeted about Jadeveon Clowney today too. It's like, so Myles has 4.5 himself. Jadeveon has 2. I mean, so that's 6.5 sacks from our defensive. No, plus Tax 1. So that's 7.5 sacks from our defensive ends, which is, I mean, I don't know that I've ever seen. So it's funny actually. The last game,
Ronnie had 1, right?
What's that?
Ronnie had the other one, and
I think so.
And then JOK had half. Yeah, so it'd be 7.5. Yes.
So the last live game that I was at First Energy was a 12-9 Browns win over the Ravens, and just like one of those just battles, defensive battles all the time. Like Denzel Ward blocked a kick and had an interception in the red zone and all this stuff. But so I was going to say it's been a really long time, because the final score, like if you're just looking at the box score, it's misleading because until right before the first half, the Browns didn't have a touchdown, right? So
I mean, they a lot of self-inflicted wounds, but yeah,
true.
I mean, they scored with like 20 seconds to go to make it 10-3.
So largely, you're looking at the first half of the game being a defensive battle, right? The Browns go for it on a bunch of fourth downs, in true Kevin Stefanski fashion, and get stops repeatedly. And the Bears, and so this is really an interesting game to me in that the Browns. I haven't seen the Browns defense stand up when the offense was struggling in a very long time.
No.
And I think so. No matter what, whoever the opponent is, for the people who want to poo-poo it, I just think you needed to see the defense do this, right? Whoever the opponent is, I
don't care who the opponent is because people are going to sit here and tell me, well, it was the Bears. Well, the Bears beat the Bengals last week.
Yeah, they picked off Joe Burrow 3 times. I think you needed, and you know what? Well, we're not on the offense yet, but I just think, and I said this largely last year when people were like, "Oh, well, the offense sucks," and da da da. And it's like you're looking for little signs of growth. You're looking for little bits that tell you that this unit is capable of being far better than it is. And I think that, to me, is my biggest takeaway about the defense, that they can do this. They can be dominant. They can be the piece that carries the day. If because I know we're not talking about the offense yet, but Baker didn't have his best game. He wasn't bad, but he didn't have his best game. So it's like you need to know that the other side of the ball
that he normally makes.
Yeah. You need that one, Andy's an incredible person. And those seats were the best I've ever had in my life.
Yeah.
And I remember Demetric Felton is open and Baker just misses him. Just misses him. There's like opportunities like that. So it's like, okay, he's a little off, but the defense is like, we got you. We got your back this week. And that is so, I know I've lingered on that for a long time, but it's been a long time. The offense literally dragged the defense to the divisional round last year. And that's just not, this is not going to be the same. Yeah.
This team, I spent all week defending Joe Woods, telling him let him have time with his personnel, let him actually run the system he wants to do, let him do his thing. I spent all week, and then I just sat back and smiled and smiled and smiled this week. And it's one of those things where it's like, come on. Like it was 2 games. The sky was never falling. The sky was never falling. Mike says he's been watching the Browns since the early 80s. He's never seen a more dominating performance. The sky was never falling. They needed time to gel. It was 2 games.
Yeah.
I mean, remember what the offense scored 6 points in week 1 last year. It's fine. There is talent at every level of this team. I'm going to go ahead and catch up on the Twitter comments over here. So we're going to bring these on here.
There was a
that. For the Howard says they are gelling and will just get better and better. Will they put Billings on the practice squad and bring up Sheldon Day or Ofedi Odenigbo? Ofedi Odenigbo has already been signed to the 53-man roster. He is on the active roster. He was just inactive on Sunday. Andrew Billings didn't play a single snap, which is actually rather interesting. Maybe that's a question for another day, but I think they like Billings for when they play teams like Minnesota with a power run game that they're going up against this week if Dalvin Cook's healthy. So, Mike, we will get to DPJ. Trust me, I have some stuff. The crowd chanting Myles was the best moment of the game. Absolutely. Our good friend Ashley weighing in. We tried to meet up with Ashley this weekend and we just could not. Phone
soon,
service.
Ashley.
Soon, my friend. Soon. We absolutely will say hi to you soon. You could tell Myles loved that, man. Absolutely loved the place. And he talked about it, that he's just grinning ear to ear and just like, he loves Cleveland. He loves being here, and we love having him here. That's awesome. Tack was a beast. Great job for his confidence. I agree. Myles' leadership and challenging his teammates to be as great as him was a catalyst. It feels like it, doesn't it? I think it absolutely feels like it. The opponent wasn't Akron or Bishop Sycamore. Good showing by the defense. Ed weighing in like he always does with such wisdom and fire. All right, guys, let's go through the rest of the defensive grades. Troy Hill, after struggling last week, an 83.8 overall grade, played really well. Malcolm Smith continues to play really well after a terrible first game, an 80.0 in 30 snaps. Ronnie Harrison, I tweeted about him today. He played 30 of his 45 snaps either in the slot or in the box, which is what we talked about. He's basically a pseudo linebacker. We are seeing that Joe Woods system. We are finally seeing the system, the scheme. I have some stats for you about the dime look from PFF here in a second. Jadeveon Clowney is 77.8. Mack Wilson played only 12 snaps, a 76.5. Apparently, he's finding a role. Great for Mack Wilson.
Hey,
also,
there it is.
Pretty good on special teams again. Pretty good on special teams. We'll talk about special teams probably towards the end of the show. I'm really excited to talk about it. Tack McKinley, a 70. Greg Newsome, a 65. Denzel, a 62. Elijah Lee, 61. Played more snaps than Mack Wilson. That's interesting. Grant Delpit, only a 60, although he had a 77 tackle grade, which was the second highest on the team, and that was the biggest knock of him coming out of college, which is really, really nice. Grant Delpit he's going to be good. He's bring him along. 57 for Joe Jackson. Jordan Elliott, a 55. John Johnson continues to struggle. I'm not sure what's going on with John Johnson, a 53 overall. I'm not super worried about it, but it's a 52 from Malik McDowell and somehow a 29.5 for Malik Jackson. I thought Malik Jackson had a much better game than that. But overall, I thought that was the defense was an absolute dominating, just pure domination. The Browns, I mean, they held them to one net passing yard.
That's crazy.
One net passing. This is an NFL team. I don't care how bad they are. I don't think the 0-16 Browns had one net passing yard every week.
No, they didn't.
This is as dominating a performance I've ever seen from a defense. And y'all, I know it's one game, but y'all should apologize to Joe Woods.
I would like, and you know what? I didn't realize this until I tweeted about it today. I would like Jadeveon Clowney apologies. It's been 3 games.
EMZ says that Clowney looks happy, and I think he needed that.
He's been damn good, and you know what? I'm just the Browns found they were like mocked at like Jadeveon Clowney's washed. He hasn't had a sack in 2 years or blah blah blah. He's already got 2, right? And he should. You know what? He sandwiched Mahomes with Myles Garrett.
He should have got half a sack.
He should have got half a sack, right? He'd only be half a sack away from his 2019 total. Right, it's almost like the Browns had a plan on how to use him and are just letting him. Tennessee has no idea what they're doing. I don't know what they do on defense.
Music to my ears. Tell me more.
I'm just saying. You know what? And Tennessee's still a good team, but I have no idea how you get a talent like Jadeveon Clowney and you're just like, we don't know how to use this guy. I have no.
He's an athletic freak.
He's just. I watch him play, and you and I were talking about it back and forth today. It's like he's good against the run. He's still, and you know what? The most telling stat I saw is that he's like 2%. But so there's like pressure rates for Myles Garrett and Jadeveon, and I can't remember what the stats are. But they were
both like near 30%, I think.
Yeah. And so Clowney's right behind Myles in terms of pressures. And that I know I understand that's not sacks, but it still alters the play and the throw and everything. And so it's just I didn't realize it, but here I am standing Jadeveon Clowney. So that's what there was a point. The last thing I want to say, there was a point where we were sitting there watching the game at First Energy, and I was like, they're not going to get another first down. And I've never felt like that before. I've never in my life felt like that.
They had, I'd have to look it up, but correct me if I'm wrong. They had 1 third down conversion. Maybe.
I mean,
let me pull that up real quick.
Yeah, please do.
Let me check.
I was listening to ESPN radio this morning because I work at the crack of dawn, and they had a segment, which I'm sure I'm going to watch, from Dan Orlovsky breaking down the Browns.
Yeah, they were 1 for 11 on third down.
That's insanity. Dan Orlovsky was irate about Matt Nagy because I don't remember the full stats. I wish I could tell you the full stats. I was listening to it before the coffee kicked in this morning. But he said the Bears ran X amount of pass routes, pass plays. Sorry,
mm-hmm.
and they had five into block on more than half of them that they ran.
They only moved the pocket for Justin Fields like 4 times.
Do you think by the time the Browns have like 5 sacks, Matt Nagy might be like, hey, maybe we should leave a tight end or even a running back in to block?
So Baker gets sacked 5 times. Correct me if I'm wrong, 4 of them were in the first half.
That sounds right.
Adjustments. I legitimately knew Matt Nagy made no changes. Like that, if I'm in Chicago right now, I'm calling for his job. Like
I am too.
I legitimately thought we would get a sack on every play because they were doing nothing. They were doing nothing.
It is blatantly irresponsible to leave a 39-year-old tackle. Granted, he was great in his day, to block a 25-year-old elite pass rusher himself. I mean, what? Like, the Texans had a better game plan than that. Like,
yeah.
And I feel for, because I root for Justin Fields, right? And it's just like Matt Nagy literally left him to die yesterday. It's Sunday, and I'm so glad the Browns have moved beyond that garbage, because you could see the both of the Browns tackles are on like half a. Well, I don't know what's wrong with Conklin, but
it's a knee.
A knee. Okay. So basically they're both on a single leg. And you could see that the Browns were like, okay, we can't run these plays because Baker's getting killed. And so we'll make adjustments. And Matt Nagy's like, it feels it. He'll be fine.
he'll be fine. We'll just keep running the exact same plays and see what happens.
Are you okay? Are you okay transitioning? Because I had a thought based on what we just talked about, or do you have any more on defense?
I've got a couple more schematic things on defense, but that is going to actually come up in our Q&A session because we had a couple of really, really good schematic questions on Twitter. So we can move on to the offense.
I just want to say something occurred to me that just while I was thinking about it. So in the past, when Baker Mayfield was pressured heavily, when he was sacked heavily, he would get happy feet. He would get forced into bad throws. He would turn the ball over and, really you look uncomfortable. And despite the fact that he was sacked 4 times in the first half, like you referenced, he didn't throw an interception. He didn't start bailing out of the pocket immediately. He didn't start getting happy feet. He stayed calm despite that pressure that was coming his way. And I think that is despite the fact that it wasn't his best game, I think that is a true sign of growth from him, dealing with the pressure, because he still graded pretty well, right? And the Browns still scored 26 points. So I think that my favorite takeaway of the whole offense is just that Baker, in the face of pressure, handled it
so much
better than he ever has before, because the Bears were killing him early on there. Like, they really were. Like,
sacking him back-to-back 4th downs. Like,
yeah,
it was. I've got some issues with some of the play calling there, but I've got an issue with a 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1, and Nick Chubb didn't get the ball once. But I'm not questioning Kevin Stefanski overall. He's not going to be perfect, and he'll be the first one to tell you that he's not.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to go from the top all the way down through the offensive grades here from PFF. How freaking good is Kareem Hunt? We will talk about that here in a second. Kareem Hunt, a 90.6. Jack Conklin, the only offensive lineman I think that was very good, he had an 89.1. Baker Mayfield finished with a 76.4. He was off. That was not the best Baker Mayfield I've ever seen, 76.4. Odell Beckham in the first stop of the revenge tour, 76.2. Austin Hooper, 72, continuing to find that chemistry with Baker. That connection looks so much more natural. Do you realize that the Bears ran 42 plays, the Browns ran 81? I didn't know the actual number until I'm staring at it right now. JC Treader was 70.6, Demetric Felton a 69. A 69 for Donovan Peoples-Jones. Case Keenum had a heck of a time running the football and run blocking. He got a 69, I guess. Nick Chubb is 69.1. Joel Bitonio was very off today, this weekend, 68.8. Wyatt Teller is 65. Jordan Franks is 60. Got him cut, I guess. He got cut today. Andy Janovich looked a little bit better, a 60.5. Jedrick Wills, a 45 pass block grade, a 60.3 overall. He just can't move right now.
Yeah.
This team has been so smart, so cautious, so, long term when it comes to injuries and things like that. And it just blows my mind the way they're handling this Jedrick Wills situation right now, because he's not. I understand Blake Hance only had a 48.3, a 28.1 pass block in the 11 snaps he played at left tackle.
Oof.
I think if Chris Hubbard's healthy, I think things are different. If Chris Hubbard's healthy this week, I think you legitimately see Jed's not going to get back, I think, without missing games. Like, I just don't think it's going to happen.
And
the offensive line, man, it was just they've seen better days.
Yeah, and that's definitely so. Maybe not as much against Minnesota looking forward a little bit, but you've got the Joey Bosa coming down the pipe. You've got Chandler Jones coming down the pipe.
Hunter is no joke this weekend, man.
Yeah, him too. Yeah, you're right. I can't disrespect him either. So I just there. You know what? It was like last year when Wills got banged up. I think it was Wills. It might have been Conklin. I can't remember when the Browns played the Bengals.
It was Conklin. Yeah, it was Hubbard played right tackle.
Yeah, they used that to get him right and let him sit down and that. And it's just like.
And I wonder if he's healthy, if he would be out. If Chris Hubbard was healthy.
Yeah.
If Chris Hubbard was healthy.
I would like to assume, because based on the way they played it before, you know what I'm saying?
And that's what, to me, it's like, I like Blake Hance and they like Blake Hance. I don't think they love Blake Hance. And I think that's where we are because of it. That's the only logical explanation I can think, because it just, that offensive, like, listen, we're saying all these things about this offensive line. You still dropped 26 points.
And put up like,
what is it?
Put up like 400 some yards of offense.
Oh yeah. And you still should have had 6 more if you don't go for both of those 4th downs and you let my boy Perfect Chase.
Oh man.
I yelled at Chase. Right in front of us is where, exactly right in front of our seats is where Chase McLaughlin was warming up and kicking into his net. I yelled, "We love you, Chase."
Yeah.
More times than I care to admit.
He sure did.
Perfect Chase McLaughlin.
Speaking of that, the Browns found a kicker.
They found a kicker.
The Browns found a kicker.
We were going to talk about the offense, but now we're talking about kickers.
That's part of the offense, kind of. A little.
We talk about all these things, man. The Browns have not put an A game on the field to date.
Nope.
They're 2-1, and realistically, you should be 3-0. If not for your own mistakes and beating yourself, you're 3-0 right now. And Kansas City's 0-3. What a wild world that would be.
Oh, I can't even. People would be. Oh man. And they did. They beat themselves.
They did.
Like, there was that, and I'm not blaming Nick Chubb, but the moment when Nick Chubb fumbled, they had run like 3 or 4 consecutive, like, just chunk runs, and we're like, we are going to impose our will on you guys. And they were. Like,
we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that. We're going to talk about the backfield. I want to catch up on this on these comments and everything.
Sorry, there's so much. Sorry.
It's all right. Myles had 4.5 sacks, still 1.5 short of Andy's beer chugs. EMZ says, I was shouting at my screen, just go for it every 4th down. The defense will get you the ball back anyway.
Hey,
certainly felt like it, didn't it?
Yeah.
Elite quarterbacks can be game managers when pressures comes. And that's a really good point by Ed. I like the way he put that. I want to see more Njoku like we saw against KC. I was really interested. 0 targets this weekend. I would really love to kind of ask, if I could, what is the status of Michael Dunn? He's been inactive all year. He was actually there. We saw him, and the offensive linemen were pretty well just off to the right of us the whole entire time. And he was there, very active, very chatty, talking, coaching. It seemed like talking with his guys. I think it's a back injury. Those things love to linger for a little while. EMZ is with us. They should sit Wills for a game. Ed says, I had Hunt on my fantasy bench.
Oh, no, Ed.
I did not. I did not.
There it is.
He was in my lineup. Chase is 4 for 4 like Wendy's. 2 50-yard field goals. The Browns are like the 95 Indians. So many damn weapons. That is us catching up on that. I have nothing. Mike says I have nothing against McLaughlin. Just hope he can make the kicks into. Listen, he wants him to make the kicks in the winter because we're spoiled by Phil Dawson. Well, I need somebody that can just get us to the freaking winner. And we're already well on our way. Kareem Hunt finished with a 90.6.
Oh, God.
I want to talk about this because guess who the number 1 and number 2 ranked PFF graded running backs in football are?
Ooh, I can't imagine who those two might be.
Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb.
Man.
Listen, Nick Chubb didn't. We say this because Nick Chubb kind of struggled a little bit. He ends up finishing with 84 yards, and that's a bad game for Nick Chubb, right?
Yep.
I saw it. I'm trying to think who it was. I think it was Sean. Sean on Twitter.
It was Sean.
We made the comparison that I thought Kareem Hunt is like that lockdown relief pitcher that you put in when your guy's not getting it done. Kind of like Andrew Miller's run with the Tribe a few years ago. It's like, all right, they have two kind of different. Kareem's like get to the hole as fast as you possibly can, and Nick Chubb is an incredibly patient runner. That didn't work against the way the Bears played defense. It just his style of running just was not made to succeed against the way the Bears were playing defense. And we say he had a rough game. He finishes with 84. So you end up saying, okay, listen, Nick, you're not getting it done, man. And these guys, you can tell, 33 snaps for Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb with 40. So they're right there, right? Yeah. They're right there. AJ says that Nick needs to get a background. I know. We know.
One day.
We can't see it. We can only see the wall.
That's fair. Yeah.
Anyway, I still tweeted this out because the fourth quarter came and Nick Chubb was still Nick Chubb in the fourth quarter, man. Nick Chubb is still the ultimate closer. You bring Andrew Miller. You bring in Kareem Hunt. Then you slam the door in the ninth with Nick Chubb. And that Kareem Hunt 30-yard touchdown run, boy.
Oh, yeah.
Boy, howdy was that. Oh, I'm getting chills thinking about that run. Listen, man, I haven't been to, like you said, I haven't been to a game since the Freddie year. God, that place was electric.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you to Nick for letting me sleep on his couch. Thanks to Evita for letting me sleep on her couch. Thanks to Andy for taking us up there. My God, was that an exciting game. Yeah. I had fun hanging out and talking with Nick and Evita the night before. But, man, that was probably one of the best days of my life outside of getting married was definitely that game, man. We got to meet up with Molly and Kyle.
That was fun.
Had a lot of fun times there. We'll talk about the Muni adventure. Actually, we'll tell you about our Muni adventure. Let's wrap up the Browns talk. We'll get to the Muni, and then we will do the Q&A session. We'll do the Q&A session to wrap up the Browns talk.
Okay.
You cannot beat the 1-2 punch of Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. I've heard. I just one more thing, and I'll let you fully go because Stephen Thomas has said it this week. He said it on the Twitch that me and Andy and Nick were listening to their post game as we were trying to get out of town and traffic was fun. If they keep working like this, man, they might have to reevaluate finding a way to pay both of them for longer. Yeah, they're going to extend each other's careers. Hey, man, you're paying a ton of money to 2 wide receivers. Why couldn't you find a way to make that 2 running backs? Yeah. That's all I got to say. This offense has not hummed yet. And they had their lowest scoring output, and it was 26 points.
That's awesome.
This team's good, and it's going to be very good.
I think we're just learning. I think we're learning about the value of depth Like this team is good.
Yeah.
And it's like so many people were like, oh, well, we have Nick Chubb. Well, why don't we trade Kareem Hunt away and do all that? Because we have Demetric Felton and Dearness Johnson. It's like depth is so important in the NFL. It's so important. And I just can't fathom. I cannot fathom trading away someone like Kareem Hunt because you saw exactly why he's and you know what? Do the Browns have that offensive performance if Kareem Hunt isn't on the team? I don't think so.
No.
Right? And
No.
so I don't think anything replaces what he gave you and what he continues to give the Browns. So I would like to – I hope that we can, as fans, we're so used to, like, anytime we have this surplus, we're like, oh, we need to get whatever, trade that. I think that needs to end it because I've – you know what, and I don't know why I'm struggling with this. The Browns need depth. They have so much that other teams would kill for, right? You don't want to trade that away. And so I think it was on full display why the versatility of the two backs. Somebody said to me that Kareem Hunt runs like a cartoon character, just flying and flopping. And
he does this thing where he falls forward. He plans how and he falls on top of other players and then rolls for an extra yard. I don't know what like his. By the way, his quads.
Yeah.
My God, I can't. There are not enough superlatives for that backfield.
Yeah.
There just isn't. You don't win that game without Kareem Hunt. Well, you probably still win that game, but you don't score 26.
It's a lot closer. The other thing I just want to say is, you have been the king of the Odell Beckham revenge tour, and he was targeted 9 times. He had 5 catches, and I think, yards. Yeah, and he led all Browns receivers in receiving. Okay, and I think a couple of those other passes, Baker just missed him. Odell was open, right? And I think, again, I like to look for things that maybe you can't directly measure. Is Odell getting open? Does he look like he can still run routes like that? Does he look like he's still dynamic? He checked all those boxes for me, just seeing that. And so I think Baker's going to be better. He and Odell are going to grow together, right? Because the main year they had together is with Freddie, right? We can't take anything from that. And then they finally are getting time together in a real offense, and then obviously it's cut short. So this is really the opportunity for he and Baker to grow together in a legitimate offense that's going to help the two of them. So this is just the beginning to me, right? And I think outside of Odell, like Kareem Hunt was the Browns' second leading receiver, and there were a bunch of stats that were coming out that like the vast majority of the Browns' receiving yards are to tight ends and and so you're seeing. So finally,
the evolution of the offense.
Yeah, and so finally,
a true number one on the field.
Yeah, and that to me, so. There were a bunch of people because I tweeted out, in the morning that Odell Beckham plays, and they're like, "We're ready for Baker to fall off and the offense to fall off." Well, they did not. So
this one, you know me. I've been letting you all know about that dude. I've been letting you know about the tour that started 2 days ago in Cleveland. Yep. Odell Beckham's still that dude.
Yeah.
Go watch the All-22. Go watch the zoomed out version. Demetric Felton is wide open because Odell pulled 2 people over to the other side of the field on drag route. The Odell Beckham effect goes far past his 87 total yards. Odell Beckham gives you a true number one that this offense did not have the second half of the season against the Chiefs or the first 2 games of this season.
Yeah.
He takes this offense to a whole nother level, and it's not just because of his statistics. I took my hat off. AJ said I'm serious. I am. AJ also says that the thing about Hunt and Chubb is that they both don't need to be on their A game. Only one does. And I agree. Odell is the missing piece to make this the missing cog in the machine that takes this offense to the level it needs to be to win it all.
I Yes, he changes the offense. I think that much is obvious. And I just think, as we're moving to the segment of questions, I want to ask you two things. What was your favorite thing from Sunday? And what is the thing that you would most like to see moving forward?
My favorite thing, also, side note, Kareem Hunt was mic'd up. If you haven't seen that yet, he loves Cleveland as much as we love him, just so you know. Man, it was just watching that defense, man, because I went to battle for those dudes all week long. And just to sit there, man, and Nick can attest this, and our boy Andy can attest to this. I just grinned from ear to ear, and I turned around and talked to the guys behind us. We was chatting with them all day long, and they was carrying on behind us. They was some good dudes. We sat next to two of the nicest Bears fans I've ever met in my entire life. We did. The one got up, he goes, "I can't watch this anymore," and he left. But he was so cool about it. Yeah, they were really cool. It was an electric, just the atmosphere, man. But watching that defense feed, man. And what I want to see is continued pressure with the four up front. I want to continue to see pressure with the four up front. We talked about it when we talked about the Chiefs losing in the Super Bowl. That is the key to beat the Chiefs. That is the key to winning it all, is getting pressure with your front four. We got pressure with our front four.
Yeah.
Some more.
My favorite thing from Sunday is that despite being and beat up, Baker Mayfield's interception streak ended. We needed that to end. No more
turnover streak total. There was no turnovers. That
was very much my favorite thing.
Should have been a turnover except for that bullshit pass interference.
Oh my God. Yeah. What's the thing I'd like to see the most? I think the thing I'd like to see most is definitely, you referenced John Johnson a couple times. I would definitely like to see John Johnson's shine next week. I would like to. He earned that interception that was robbed from him. I would very much like to see, because we are all so hyping that signing, and I think he's great. It's just, it's going to take time, and that's okay. But I would definitely. Kirk Cousins has, and dipping into the preview episode a little bit. Kirk Cousins has eight touchdowns and 0 interceptions. You need to change that. So the thing I'd like to see most is John Johnson shine.
I would like to see John Johnson be the John Johnson of before.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get into this. I got a question actually on my Twitter right now. He asked me if half melted ice cubes are soup. They are, yeah.
Oh, wow.
They are. That is a liquid with something in it. They are.
Interesting.
So that's coming in on the Twitter. Man, I would love to see John Johnson be back to the guy that we signed. He's just,
Would you call like a bowl from Qdoba a salad?
Yeah.
You think it's a salad?
It's probably a salad, yeah. It's probably a salad. Yeah, it's a salad. Sure. All right, guys. Let's get into the questions. First, I'm going to check up on the comments on Twitter, and then we're going to get into the questions over here on, we had a ask us, we got 11 Twitter questions to get to. So we're going to do our Q&A session here. So first and foremost, Kareem Hunt is a wrecking ball. Absolutely. With Chubb and Hunt, no need to punt. We win with runs, no gimmicks and stunts. That's from our boy Ed. Let's talk about Felton. Hey, I do want to say this about Felton. Felton's going to break one this year. I looked at Nick. I looked at Andy during this game. Yeah. Felton's going to break one this year. And can we stop fucking holding and blocking people in the back so the man can actually use his returns on punt return, please? Fuck. That's embarrassing. I thanked Nick's couch. I thanked Davita's couch, but I did not thank Tim's couch. So it works because we have depth. We have great guys to back up our starters, and that's how you win. Absolutely, Ashley. Absolutely, on every level. OBJ, DPJ, JOK, JJ3, the Browns are good and cool. The streets are watching. Ed's favorite thing was Chase's 57-yard bomb, and he wants to see Felton break one. There we go. There we go. Yeah. All right, guys, we're going to get over to the Q&A session. All right, Nick, I'm going to ask, we're going to go all the way down to the bottom because that would be the first question, correct? I don't know. These are in really weird order, so we're just going to start from the top.
Let's do it.
Roger asks, I have a late question, and it's not Browns related. I'm battling a cold, and not only do I trust your Browns content, I also respect your souping expertise. So what soup do you recommend? It's chicken noodle soup every time. If you are sick and you have a cold, it's chicken noodle soup every time.
I like potato bacon.
That's not terrible. It's not terrible at all. That's
potato
a
bacon.
Great idea. Yeah, there we go. Chicken noodle soup, potato, and bacon. Boom. Answer. All right. Greg asks, do you think they could/will use Myles in any other position other than D end or D tackle? I will tell you that I could see a really, really fun package where you got Clowney at inside and Tack on outside and maybe Myles as an outside linebacker. I don't know that they would ever do that, but how wild. Listen, they showed you the scheme. They moved him around. They played him and they stunned it and they did all of these different things. If there is a place that Myles could be effective outside of D end or D tackle, I think this team will find a way to exploit it.
What are the odds? So we threw a touchdown to, Kendall Lamb. We threw a touchdown to Kendall Lamb. What are the odds they would throw a touchdown to Myles Garrett?
Could we put Myles Garrett as a fullback and just give him the football?
That'd be pretty fun. I'm just saying.
I like it. Great question, Greg. All right. Our girl Jess asks, on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you rank the offense, defense, and special teams for against Chicago? So not just overall, but from that Chicago game, where do you rank them? Nick, you go ahead first.
Okay, so
1 to 10, offense, defense, special teams.
I have to give the defense a 10. You allowed 1 net passing yard. I don't think they could have been much better. That you allowed 6 points, which is nearly unheard of in today's NFL. So I have to give the defense a 10.
You should have only let 3 if that penalty doesn't happen.
Yeah. I read a stat today about how Demetri Felton has almost as many return yards as we did all of last year. So and the kicks, McLaughlin was perfect. So I'm gonna give the special teams a 9. I would have, obviously they didn't have like a special teams touchdown, which would have been pretty cool. So I'll give a 9.
Those are pretty rare.
Yeah. So to me that would be 10. The offense, I'm gonna give the offense a 7. I would like to see them protect Baker better, obviously, and those 4th downs were there for the taking, and they just missed them. So the offense was good. But I wouldn't describe it as Kareem Hunt was great, but I don't think the offense as a unit was great yesterday.
Yeah, body blows and attrition really made them look better in the 4th, I think.
Yeah, it did.
Defense is a 10 for everything you said, man. That's the most dominating performance I've ever seen. The offense is 7. I'm with you. Protect Baker. Just protect Baker, and I think everything else works itself out. The special teams, I give them a 7 because of all the damn penalties.
That's a good point. I forgot.
It's getting ridiculous. Because you're playing so much better, but then you're like, no, let's knock back these returns.
Good point.
All right. Cleveland Sports Blog asks, besides Joe Thomas, Phil Dawson, or Josh Cribbs, who is a former Browns player in their prime that you would like to add to this roster and why? For sake of the thought experiment, let's say they had to play on the team somewhere between 99 and 2017. So pre-Baker is what he says. Great question. This is what I'm going to say. I thought about this a lot. And just because I've only seen him for 1 game, so I don't know where it's going to be, I would love a tackling machine at the middle of that defense. And he was inducted during halftime of the game that we were at this week. He was inducted into the Browns Ring of Honor. Give me DeQuell Jackson.
I love it. I will never come off this hill. I am never going to stop coming off this hill. I said that wrong. I don't care. Josh Gordon. Give me Josh Gordon. I want all of him. Every bit of it. He was the best player I've ever seen in a Browns uniform, and I don't think it's remotely close.
There you go. All right. Our good friend Mike, the Brownie Elf, asks, does Andrew Berry address the DT situation, or does he just stand pat? He stands pat. I think the ability, you've seen Myles and Clowney both line up inside and outside. You've seen McDowell flash at times. Jordan Elliott's coming into his own. Malik Jackson is a consummate pro. They're not just using D tackles as D tackles and you started to see some of that versatility and some of the creativity, I think they're fine. I think he stands pat for those reasons.
I think if the opportunity presented itself, like Andrew Berry's been very opportunistic and aggressive, but for
if
now,
you give me Fletcher Cox, I'll take him.
Yeah, but I think, like I said, I learned so many lessons last year from the first really good Browns team of my life that I am optimistic that what they have right now will develop into what it needs to be.
There we go. All right. What's the deal with Wyatt Teller? This is from Roger. What's the deal with Wyatt Teller's pass block grade compared to his exceptional run block grade? Can Callahan straighten it out being a contract year? Was this another elite decision by Andrew Berry to wait and see? Okay. I'm going to answer the first one, the last one first. Is it a good move by Andrew Berry? So far it looks like it. Listen, Wyatt Teller was incredible last year. But he played, 11 games, 12 games, 11 games, I think. That's just not enough sample. So either way, it was the right move. I'm not sure. Sometimes guys, maybe it takes a little while, the pass block. He's played some really good defensive tackles. Like, Hicks in there this weekend. It was a battle. And he's played some good defensive linemen, and he's I don't know. Wyatt Teller struggled just a little bit. I think the whole offensive line just seems a little – there's been some communication issues on the offensive line. Can Callahan straighten it out? Absolutely. I am not worried. Me and DW, our good friend Dave, me and DW were talking about it online today. The offensive line has sneakily not been very great. I think outside of Jack Conklin, all the grades are somewhere in the low 70s and upper 60s. They don't look like themselves. And I'm not worried. I think Callahan can straighten it out.
It's super weird because I literally just saw a stat that Shannon Parker shared it actually under D. Wills that the Browns are still number 1 in the NFL in pass block win rate, which
and run block, or they're like 4th or 5th in run block win rate.
How does it even? I don't fully understand that because it certainly doesn't look like they are winning at that rate. I agree, though. You know what? It was tempting. It's tempting when, Wyatt Teller is playing so good. It's like, get him now. But you got to look at the rest of his career, right? And he kind of came out of nowhere. No one really expected Wyatt Teller to become an elite guard last year. So I think Andrew Berry's smart in waiting. And I do think they can come around because I mean, like I keep referencing, the offense just really came around.
They're winning. They're just not finishing.
Yeah. So I'm more in a wait and see. I'm glad Berry waited. And I think this is a small sample size. There's so much more that can happen. Think about last year, right? Where what would we have said about the offense 3 weeks in last year? And then what do we say about the offense when we look at the full season last year? There's so much more that's going to happen. So I think patience at this point, especially being 2-1, right? If you go to Minnesota and win, you're 3-1. You've provided yourself a great cushion to continue to develop. I mean, not that they want to lose games, but I'm just saying,
these next 3 games, actually these next 4, because you got the 3-0 Broncos on Thursday night. This is a chance to put the league on notice. Top to bottom, it's your chance to put the league on notice. All right, we're going to move on to another question here. Andrew asks, I'm just trying to find that. I accidentally clicked off of it. Sorry. But yeah, I mean, you've got the Vikings, the Chargers, the Cardinals, the Broncos. You even got the Steelers after that. I think that's probably a gimme at this point. I'm just kidding. We're going to have our good friend Jim back on the show. I think we're going to try to have him on to talk about the Steelers once we get around to that section right there. Okay, hold on a second. All right. So who's more valuable? Wu asks, who's more valuable, Chubb or Hunt? I think when you look at this, you have to look at it as who is the best player overall, who's better. That is a really, really hard question to answer. You know what? I'm going to go with Chubb. I think Chubb is the best pure runner in football. I think he could have a lot better statistics if he didn't wasn't sharing some of the carries. I don't think he's sharing carries because he can't do the workload like some other fandoms tend to try to say. But Chubb is the ultimate guy in the fourth quarter. He's the ultimate closer. So who's more valuable, Chubb or Hunt? I think it's Chubb, but man, it's a hard conversation. It is closer than I think people want to admit.
You know what? I think Hunt reminded us just what he's capable of this week. But
led the league in rushing one year.
Yeah,
as a rookie.
Yeah, I think they both offer such different skill sets, but I still have to say Chubb just because of how often, especially, and so I'm looking for it this year, more of it this year. But he just sealed so many wins for the Browns in his time so far, and that to me puts him a little bit over Hunt.
All right, Andrew asks, it's a two-parter. Does it feel like we are holding back our playbook? How haven't we gone from a power run set to splitting out Felton and Njoku and Harrison and getting a linebacker on one of them? We have. There is a lot of that where they've lined up the running backs. They've lined up Nick Chubb wide and empty. They've lined up the tight ends and empty. Some of those, there's been some. I mean, Baker's been sacked 9 times. There's been a little bit of execution problems by the offensive line right now. So I think some of the creativity, are we holding back against our playbook? I think you saw it against Houston where they thought they could get out of Houston with a win without showing anything on film. And that's exactly what they did. So that's definition of holding back from the playbook. So what do you think? Do you think they're holding back the playbook?
So you know what's interesting is Kevin Stefanski used Jarvis Landry in so many little gadgets, whether it was rushes or he tried to use a wide receiver pass against Kansas City with Jarvis. And I think he fills that role of a lot of the real wrinkles that they want to bring to the table. And so I think currently, yes, you're missing one of your best receivers. So yes, I think, and then you're working your other receiver back from an ACL tear. So to me, yeah, I would say yes currently, but I don't expect that to continue as time goes on.
Yeah, I think so. Ronnie Harrison as our sub linebacker was fantastic. Listen, we talked about that. Actually, I got a stat here for you.
Stats. I like stats.
I forgot I had this stat. It caught my eye right before. Okay, from John Marcy from PFF. Over the past 2 weeks since the debut of Grant Delpit, the Browns have played 27.4% of their snaps in dime personnel. That's the 4th most. This is what majority of the snaps look like. Harrison is the key of the group with 42% of his snaps coming in the box. Joe Woods has talked about this dime. Joe Woods has talked about the 3 safeties. He's talked about it over and over and over again. And I said this. I put out a tweet today. I said the key to this defense is the versatility of Ronnie Harrison. Dave, our good friend DW, we bring it up again. Me and him have had this conversation before. Ronnie Harrison replaces a linebacker. He's big like a linebacker. He can play the run, but he's far more athletic and quick. So he's able to play in the slot. He's able to play those tight ends. He's the kind of guy that can help you defend a Lamar Jackson, defend a Mark Andrews, defend a Josh Allen. Ronnie Harrison, I said it today, and I will die on this hill. He is a key cog in this defense's future.
You actually, you taught me something. I didn't know he was 6'5". That's crazy.
Ronnie, yeah, he's big.
Yeah, and that matters.
You can see it when you see him standing next to the other DBs. He's big.
Yeah, that's not common. And I said to you today that Andrew Berry is still wanted in Jacksonville for grand theft of Ronnie Harrison.
And I keep making the jokes. I'm like, people stop telling everybody about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like.
What can you say about Ronnie? He's great.
You know what? And I love seeing him. It sucks seeing him get kicked out of the game, but now that he's healthy and he's contributing, I love it. I'm so glad we have him.
Last question, and then we'll talk about the muni lot. And we'll get you guys out of here. Do you think Clowney is being overlooked right now? I knew Nick would like this question. Seems like between Garrett, McDowell, and JLK, we hardly ever talk about Clowney. I think he may be playing better right now than he has ever played in his career. That's from our friend Kent. Nick, the floor is yours.
I was so excited. So they signed Jadeveon Clowney on Avita's birthday, and so I had to take a little bit of time to tweet about it, and then I come back to all these notifications, because I'm excited, obviously, because that's just me. And I come back to all these notifications about how Clowney is washed, and the Browns are paying him $10 million for nothing. He hasn't had a sack since 2019. All this garbage, right? That it looks so dumb right about now. And Clowney is I was doing. It's hard to project over 17 games because I'm no math major, right? But I was figuring it out, and he is, in terms of sacks, he's on pace for one of his best. And like we said, he already got robbed of at least half a sack. He's on pace for one of his best sack totals. And I understand both of his sacks so far have come against Chicago, but he's been right there, right? He's pressuring the quarterback. He's going to get more. The stats tell you that he's going to get more, right? Yeah. In terms of tackles and tackles for loss, he's been there. The Browns defense has been way better against the run overall. They didn't let Clyde Edwards-Helaire do a whole lot. The Texans have been pretty good running the ball. They didn't really let them do a whole lot in terms of running. And I think Clowney's been a huge part of that. I think we're going to see Jacob and I were talking about this today. I think we're going to see Clowney truly shining against all these mobile quarterbacks that have always killed the Browns. So yes, I would say that we are overlooking Jadeveon, because literally today I tweeted, "Don't let Myles Garrett's 4.5 sacks distract you from the fact that Clowney had to himself." And we've been waiting. You know what? I mean, obviously we've been waiting for Myles Garrett for forever, but we've been waiting for someone to be across from Myles to be great for a long, because when Vernon was great, Myles wasn't there, right? We never had both at the same time. And so right now we have both, and it's a beautiful thing.
There we go.
I appreciate that, friend.
Time for the Muni Lot.
Muni Lot.
So we went to the Muni Lot about 7:30 in the morning with a mission to say hi to as many people as we can and to have as much fun as we can. We've quickly ran into our friends Molly and Kyle. And then we quickly decided that apparently Flip Cup is what we were doing at 7:45 in the morning. And I was very rusty and not very good. So then we set out on a mission to find some water, because I was going to chug 2 beers in a minute and my mouth was thirsty. So we start walking around. We're saying hi. We're high-fiving, all these things. All the next thing we know, we look up at this guy in a bus. He starts chucking beers for us to drink. Not throwing beer at us. He's throwing cans of beer. Here's some beer. Beautiful. And we're like, what? So then we got more beers, and suddenly we were worried we didn't have enough beer. Well, we had plenty of beer then. Walking around, all of a sudden, Nick's making friends. We turn around, Nick was gone. I said, "Where's Nick?" And Andy says he's over there talking to this guy, and then he comes back with a cup of water. Here's you some water. I'm like, what in the hell is going on here?
It's just that's kind of my thing. I just go make friends.
He makes friends. We walked around. We had a fun time. We drank from the gin bucket. I chugged 2 beers in well under a minute. The foam, that's the hardest part, by the way. The hardest part is the foam. The foam wants to come back up. It's really bad. It's hard to deal with. And you got capacity issues. You put a lot of liquid in your stomach really, really quickly. And it was not a lot of fun. I didn't like it.
But you did. I
felt like a man.
And now you're in on the bet, the action.
I'm on the bet. I need Baker to throw some more touchdowns. Here's the thing. Andy said that my face I was proud for a second, but then I realized I might hurl. So I quickly was like, oh boy. Thank you, everybody that we ran into. We said hi. Nick had a guy ask him in the stadium for a selfie. And the other guy was like, hey, I want to take a selfie with you. And then once he said, can I get in this selfie too? And it's really cool walking with royalty like Nick Carnes at a Browns game, because he gets noticed everywhere. But this guy's like, let me take a picture with you, right? And the other guy that was with him was like, I want to be in the picture. So he gets in the picture, and they take this picture. And then this guy looks Nick dead in the eye. His face goes like this. And he goes, I'm the one who had beef with you on Friday.
I was like, what?
And I just, Nick, because I was standing off to the side, I didn't hear this part. Nick told me what was said later. I'd seen the guy look at Nick very seriously, and he looks at Nick, I had beef with him Friday. And he goes, and Nick was a little, And Nick goes, I don't even know what your name is, dude. And he told him or whatever. And, the guys walk away and he's like shouting at him. And Nick just goes, well, I hope you have a great day, friend. Hi, bye. Love you. And walks away. And it was the greatest moment of my life.
It was, I don't know. I don't know. But you know what?
Why do you want to? And Nick goes, "Why do you want to take a picture with me if you have beef with me?"
Yeah. What are you doing? What are we doing? You listen. I know we've been going for an hour and 15 minutes, but I have a bunch of things I need to say.
Okay.
So Andy, that was the first time I ever rode in a Tesla.
And this is true, yeah.
And Andy was like,
Nick said it was his favorite part of the day.
It was so much fun. Andy was like, "You want to see what a Tesla can do?" Meanwhile, the sun's barely even up. Jacob and I are groggily.
It's like 7:15.
So he pulls onto the on-ramp, the freeway, and he's like, "You want to see what Tesla can do?" And we're like, "Sure." So he floors it, and I feel like I'm on the Top Thrill Dragster at Cedar Point. Holy mackerel. Those things go, man.
Yeah. I literally was like sitting like this, and then I was like, whoa. And I felt like Nick said, it was like a roller coaster taking off.
And you know what? So I wanna say a special thanks to Molly and Kyle, because we were tailgate orphans walking into the Muni, and she noticed us.
Yeah,
right?
we were looking for her, but we were about to walk right past her.
And then I think Adam's the guy who runs the whole thing. I think he told me he lives in the flats, but anyway, they all welcomed us. That was super cool, like just to have a place to be. So thank you for that. And I want to say, so we ran into, oh God, I haven't seen these people in over a decade, but just like a large, wonderful group of Browns fans that I went to high school with. And I want to say to John Mary, who I noticed me first. I noticed John first. John's hard to miss. He's a big guy. I love John. But John said he listens, and that is like the coolest thing that I've ever, because he's one of the people that we went to high school with, and so John, I hope I see you again. It was so great to see all of you. I never realized before, because I've never been like super big into like actually tailgating, but just the Muni, that's 2.5 miles, and that's only one thing. It's like, dude, you can just go through there and you just see infinite people.
Having good times, man.
Yeah,
good times.
It gets a bad rap because of a couple idiots or whatever. But I've been there for the last 2 games, and I've experienced nothing but nice people. We've had beers tossed at us, like Jacob has referenced. Various foods have been offered. Like I said, we got picked up. So that was awesome. And what else do I got? I think that might be it. I think. It was, and you know what? Like we very briefly, right? You see, I have never sat so close to the Browns in my life, and you see so many cool things. You got a great picture of Odell.
Yeah.
I got a great picture of Odell. Andy, man. And Andy's like a seasoned veteran. Yeah, you know what, Andy, and I know you're going to listen, so thank you. I owe you copious amounts of beer the next time we hang out. Can't wait to hang out again.
And I had I did find myself sometimes staring at the players on the sideline and not paying attention.
Yeah.
To what was going on, because they were just so close to us. It was, and Andy told us that going into it that would probably happen. So
yeah,
it is what it is. So guys, look out. We have a special. I have a giveaway going. I am 15 from 2,000 followers. When I hit 2,000 followers, I will be giving away the official Victory Monday mug from Cleveland Clothing Company. I will be giving away one of those as soon as I hit 2,000 followers. So bump me right on up to there, and we'll get that bad boy done. And we have a special announcement regarding a charity fundraiser that we will be doing in the month of October. We'll probably start it next month.
That makes sense.
We're very early into the planning stages, but me and Nick really want to use the platform to help people that need help.
Yes.
So we're looking into a veterans charity, as well as like some kind of hospital or a children's hospital or something like that, maybe Cleveland Clinic. I don't know. Something like that. We're looking into, we're going to have about like 5 or 6 prizes we're going to potentially give away. And we're going to sell raffle tickets, and we're going to split the proceeds 50-50 among 2 charities. So keep a lookout for that announcement probably, I don't know, next week or the next week after that. We've got a bunch of logistics to work out with that. Thank you for everybody that has, I say it every episode, thank you. The greatest gift you can give anybody is your time. And once again, you've given your time to us, and we are eternally grateful.
Yes. We haven't gotten to thank the Patreons today. All 7 of you still. Thank you to all of you for all that you've enabled us to do, and for everyone for being here. You guys are great, and we love doing all of this for you. It really makes it feel like it's like you guys are our best and greatest supporters, and everyone who's here is. But you're special people, so thank you to everyone. A special little shout out to Ed. Ed, see you in for Arizona. I hope you're there. I hope everyone's there. But it's been that's one of the greatest things that has happened in terms of this year. It's just been being able to spend so much time with so many new people and so many great people and fellow Browns fans. So I can't wait to do more of it. I can't wait to see more of you. And the last thing I want to say is that we are at 191 subscribers on YouTube, and at 225, we're giving away another shirt courtesy of us, but from Szabo Apparel, which make great shirts. So we're almost there. So all your likes, your comments, your subscribes. And you know what? I think we forgot about it, but we had a new 5-star review to read. Maybe
we did.
We did.
We have a 5-star review from Apple Podcasts. We're up to 13. Please, by the way, those things matter. They greatly matter to us. The reviews and the subscriptions. So we have a review from Ohio Sports Fan 59. First time listening to these guys on week 21. These guys are slated into my weekly Browns podcast now. Keep up the great works. Entertaining, informative, and fun.
Thank you, friend.
Thank you. Eternally grateful. I almost forgot. Usually I try to do those things off the top of the episode, but I totally forgot about that.
I think we've covered all the bases. Browns are great. 2-1.
We will talk to you guys later in the week, Thursday, if you're on the Patreon for the preview episode of Minnesota Vikings. Friday, if you're not, $5 a month, exclusive access, extra content. I've been slacking on the articles a little bit, but I'm going to write my overall thoughts on. I'm going to reflect on the first 3 weeks of the season. That article will be out later this week for the Patreon. Yep.
And don't forget group chat. Group chats are super fun, and we love giving a little community to people. So if you want to join the Patreon, just $5 a month. You guys are wonderful. So this has been the Troy Hill, what a great episode of the Barking Browns Show. I'm Nick. He's Jacob. Look, I even pointed the right direction. And then as always, go Browns.